Good evening. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2017. This is the Cabarrus County Board of Education business meeting, and I'd like to bring this meeting to order. Today is September 11th, and before we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll have you stand. When we do that, I'd like for you to join me in a moment of silence just to acknowledge what had happened over 16 years ago on this date, and the families of the loved ones who were lost, the people who've given their lives, our first responders, the military personnel that have been involved over the last 17 years in dealing with this issue that happened to us on September 11th. So if you will, join with me and let's be quiet. Thank you and amen. All right, stand with me and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Robert Kirk.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, we're going to adopt the agenda. However, we need to remove all of the recognition for Section 4. So we need to amend the agenda to exclude Section 4, and then we'll start with Section 5, the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to adjust the agenda as such?
So moved.
Mr. Harrison makes the motion.
Second.
Ms. Fertenbaugh seconds it. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of adopting the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. And before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge our SRO tonight, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you for being a doctor.
Take it.
Deputy Page from Winecoff Elementary. He probably feels like a doctor out there, but I appreciate all that you do with our students out there. Thank you for coming out, Mr. Page. Carries us, board members, to number 5, approval of the minutes. And I need a motion to approve the minutes. I know that Mr. Walter had an adjustment to the August 14th minutes. Mr. Walter, I'll turn this to you.
Yeah, I just would like to change the word. There's a, on the page 3 of 5, last sentence of the 4th paragraph, and change the word from 1 to 0. I abstained. I didn't vote in objection.
That's correct. All right, with that, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the August 7th work session and the August 14th business meeting? The August 14th business meeting does have that one adjustment to the wording.
Move to adopt the amended minutes.
And Mr. Walter makes the second. All right, so Mr. Harrison made the motion, Mr. Walter made the second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the work session and business meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, and that carries us to our reports. And I will defer my time to Dr. Louder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to begin by welcoming everyone to the 2017-2018 school year. We're beginning our 3rd week of the new school year, and I hope everyone has settled into a productive routine and ready to do great things this year. Last week, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction released the Ready Accountability data for the 2016-2017 school year. I'm pleased to share that our district's 4-year graduation cohort rate is 90%. Although we celebrate this accomplishment, we know that our goal is to ensure high school graduation for each student, so we'll continue to look for innovative ways to connect and engage students to get them to reach that goal. Other Ready data included student proficiency on end-of-grade and end-of-course tests, as well as school performance grades. You can get all the details on our district website at www.cabarrus.k12.nc.us. I've said many times before how fortunate we are to live in a wonderful community. We received more proof of that in the weeks leading up to the beginning of school as donations of school supplies were donated and poured in. We want to say a special thanks to Uwari Bank, to Books A Million at Concord Mills, and the employees of Cabarrus County government for all their donations of book bags, books, and other school supplies. Our student services team is seeing to it so that all the donations get to the students that need them the most. And thank you to the many other businesses and organizations that donate items directly to specific schools. We appreciate your generosity. Our school nutrition department will begin a fresh fruit and vegetable program at Wolf Meadow Elementary School. The program is funded by a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and provides a fresh fruit or vegetable snack to all students. The snacks will be served 3 times a week through the end of May. This is an exciting opportunity for school nutrition to lay the foundation in healthy eating habits with all of our students. The program offers an opportunity for students to try new items outside of their comfort zone. So again, we appreciate the school nutrition department and Wolf Meadow for kind of beginning and piloting this project. In other school nutrition news, the department's website has a new look with a new logo and colors. You can also follow the department on Twitter and Instagram at Cabco Kids Cafe. Be sure to check it out. I want to remind our community the board is now accepting naming suggestions for the district's newest high school, which is scheduled to open in August of 2019. You can get the details about how to submit a name suggestion on the district website. Click on the icon on the far right-hand side. You can submit your suggestion using the electronic form, or you can print it out and mail it in. Suggestions will be accepted until October the 27th. And lastly, I just want to say a special thanks to Rocky River Elementary School. They did a day of remembrance today for September 11th. Many military members, the students there who had family members who were in the military were part of a parade that they kind of had around the school, and they had all the school out there participating, and the Hornets and Hugo and Lugnut from the Speedway and the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and also UNC Charlotte cheerleaders and athletes were there to help them. So it was a very nice way to remember September 11th, and we want to thank them for doing that today.
Thank you, Dr. Louder. Our next up is the guest speakers. And before we get started, I'd like to read that in accordance with Board Policy 2310 as revised by the Board on May 11th, 2015, a part of each business meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the Board. Sign-up cards will be available for any individual or group to indicate their desire to address the Board. Speakers must hand in a completed card to the Board Clerk no later than 6 p.m., the normal start time of the regularly scheduled monthly business meeting. The Board Chair will decide the time devoted to public comments. Speakers must complete a contact information card including their name, a group name if applicable, address and phone number, and list the general education-related topic of their presentation for the Board minutes. Tonight I have one speaker to come to address us and potentially a second one, but I don't have their name. Ms. Kashia Sandage, if you'll come forward, and she comes to speak to us about concerns at Concord High School.
I'm sorry, I don't have paper today. Everyone sitting on this podium tonight signed up to ensure children within our county were protected and afforded the best education possible. If a child were to be guilty of bullying others in the school, he or she would be suspended. Can I ask you what happens when an administrator is identified to be the one who is bullying, but against teachers? What if a child who attended a Cabarrus County school violated a board policy similar to offering and consuming alcohol at a high school staff Christmas party, like the CHS principal did for the 2016 staff Christmas party? Would he or she be reprimanded? What about the logo of a school? Does one person make this decision to change it, or should it be a collaborative effort that included students, teachers, and possibly the community? I understand that several people have brought concerns before this board, the Cabarrus County School Superintendent, and the HR Director to no avail. As a parent of a current Concord High School student, am I to believe that you have ignored those concerns as nothing has been done and there continues to be bullying at the school of those teachers? Let's talk about the turnover in teachers at Concord High School. I have a list of 25 staff that have left Concord under the current administration. That's almost a third of the staff. This is not aligned with other schools in the county, as Dr. Louder has instructed me to believe. I ask you to recheck your personnel records to help the county with understanding how teachers have left and why they have left under the current principalship at Concord High School. I hear the teachers are being blamed for not doing their jobs as a reason for the turnover. If this is the case, would you have me to believe the county has just now noticed this as a problem? Why hasn't something been done about it before the current principalship at Concord High School? I've received calls from teachers from both Concord High School and Wolf Meadow who report the same behaviors being displayed by the current principal at Concord High School at the other school. Help me understand why this board has ignored the obvious that something is very wrong going on at Concord High School that needs to be investigated, corrected, and set right, starting with the current principal. I asked Dr. Louder what he plans to implement to better manage the administration in Concord High School via an email on August 25th, 2017, and I have yet to receive a response. This topic will not go away as long as children are in harm's way. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Sandage. I have a placeholder for the Boy Scouts of Cabarrus County. Is there anyone here to speak for them? All right, seeing none. And that will close our guest speakers, and that will move us to the approval of the consent agenda. Board members, we have before you a consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written? Ms. Fertenbaugh makes the motion. Mr. Harrison seconds it. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda as written, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries. That moves us to 9.1, which is the approval of the bus driver pay increase. Ms. Klutz is available for any comments. Board members, as you heard in our work session, we'll be increasing the bus driver pay by 84 cents per hour. Is there any discussion on this topic? Ms. Carpenter?
That's okay.
Do you have a question?
I just wanted to have one of y'all restate what the effective date is, just for the public.
July 1st.
So starting with the beginning of the school year, effective July 1st, this would be. Okay, thank you.
Well, as was stated earlier, bus drivers did not get the increase when the other non-certified got them. And then we had got allotted money from the state for this. And so I am going to, and I know, you know, our drivers, they are at the lowest level. And so I am going to make a motion that we do approve this amount. So I'm stating the motion to approve this.
Yes, sir. So Ms. Carpenter makes the motion to approve the 84 cents per hour, which includes the pay adjustment of $23,000 more to for our bus monitors, who are also included in the bus driver pay pool. Now, is there any discussion?
Can you just again state that the funds aren't directly coming out of EC, current EC funds? We're putting funds to offset that $23,000.
No, there's not any available funding left in the EC budget, so other funds will have to be appropriated and moved over to pay that 20,000
Thank you.
so dollars.
And can I ask a quick question? It might be more personnel than it is finance, but we did a salary study a few 8-9 months ago where the bus drivers, I'm trying to recall if the bus drivers specifically were categorized in the salary study at that time.
Not the one that you're referring to, but we've contracted to do another salary study. That one will be available December, January timeframe, and bus drivers will be included in that study.
And that will cover which categories of employees?
Everyone that we didn't include in the other one. So the other one was teachers, principals, and assistant principals, administrative staff, that kind of thing. And so it'll be everyone else in this category.
And I know we've always got room to grow and we're getting there, but are we getting close?
We're a
For
lot
some of these
we're a lot
categories of
closer. We're
folks,
doing-
thanks to the county and some to the
Yes.
state?
We're doing quite well. Certainly still room to grow.
Yeah, thank you.
So, just to recap, this is an increase that the legislature passed to help to identify bus drivers, which is totally separate from the $1,000 increase that many other groups got. And this is actually almost double what that was. In January, there will be a step increase or compression increase of 2.5%.
It's every other year, so for every 2 years of experience, you get one step, which is an average of 2.5%. So, about half of our drivers will get it this year, about half of our drivers will get it next year.
Okay.
But that's just how it works.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, board members, is there any more discussion on this particular topic? Let's vote. All in favor of voting for the motion to increase the pay of our bus drivers by 84 cents per hour and including that $23,000 to take care of our bus monitors, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion carries 6-0. That takes us to 9.2. Mr. Tim Louder, if you'll come forward to answer any questions on the approval of the architect contract. I did go back through it, and it looked like the hourly rates were able to somehow mystically align up now.
Yes, we inserted a table. How about that? You see the font's a little differently, but it works, and it doesn't print crazy after you've
Thank you.
finalized it on the screen. How about that?
All right.
I think that was the main thing you asked me to correct, and I think we got that corrected.
Was that the only change? That was the only adjustment to it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Okay.
And then one question just for the public. There's a concept on here, but that is strictly just a concept.
That
Is
was just a concept to let
It's
us
just
understand
kind of get the juices thinking about how this school could possibly look. But
Absolutely.
it's not a
We had our
finalized.
first preliminary programming meeting today to sit down and talk about the programming space and that sort of thing. So it will come together, and I'm sure within the next couple of weeks, we'll have some sketches coming back to determine exactly what it will tend to look like.
I have one other comment, and that is regarding the change that the legislature made to this classroom size that will become effective next year. How will you integrate that into this design, or have you been looking to DPI for guidance on how big or how large our classroom should be, or should we design to the original standard before they made the change to the legislation?
DPI has not changed their standards for class size. They have changed the number of children you can put in a class, which complicates things a little bit for us. What it does, it requires us to have more classrooms than we probably would have had previously in order to accommodate the class size average that we have to have. So therefore, we may have an extra couple classrooms or 3 on this school, simply to be able to incorporate the same number of students at 940 with smaller class size. However, we can't decrease the size of the classroom because the classroom DPI has not changed that criteria
Okay,
at
so
all.
the classroom size hasn't changed even though the numbers within it have changed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that was something that I think.
That causes us some
we all kinda
consternation a little bit, and when you're trying to get the program into a certain level, we may end up being about 120,000 square feet for this.
So that means we'd probably have to bump up the K2 classroom numbers by what, almost 25% or
Not quite that
20%?
much, yeah, but it adds about 12,000 square feet, 12 to 15,000 square feet to the program.
Okay. Because I think the commissioners would need to know that because that could alter our
Yes,
pricing.
it could
because
change
it's
our
definitely
budget,
a
especially with
game
the-
changer for us. Huh?
Especially with the big climate we have today, yes, sir.
Mr. Harrison?
Mr. Louder, I know y'all do a great job, and sometimes no news is good news, but I know I would like to have updates in the weekly information packages and presentations before the board on a very regular basis. If you and your staff could consider keeping us informed, even if it's, just to reiterate, Harrison, you know as much as you knew last week, and we're still on track. I know I would appreciate frequent updates of the progress of each of the projects, as well as this particular project as well.
We try to incorporate an expanded section under your weekly report every 2 weeks with hopefully pictures of what the progress looks like and give you an explanation of what's going on in each one of our projects. So we'll make sure that, but we don't do it every week because things don't really change that much every week on Jocelyn. But every 2 weeks, it gives you pretty much an idea of where we are on construction.
And I certainly understand that's not absolutely every 2 weeks, but as you can give us more information, I know I would like frequent updates.
And we try to include lots of pictures.
Lots of pretty pictures.
We try.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank y'all.
Ms. Carpenter?
We had just brought up about naming of the high school. When would we need to possibly put something on the naming of this school? Because, now we've picked the architect, what kind of time frame would we look on possibly wanting to get a name on this?
I would appreciate it if you would do it immediately after you do the high school. because
Well, I
that'd
mean,
be
now
wonderful,
we've
yeah.
got the app out there, but I didn't know what kind of time frame we needed to put on
Like I
this
say,
one.
we're still 2 years away from both schools, so we're not that early. By the time we finish our design, we'll be only 18 months in January with the construction side starting. So once we begin construction, it'll be really nice to have that name in hand as well.
So should we put that on in January, February?
I would look at maybe offering names in December, and maybe voting for it in January, if you could, please.
Okay, so should we put it on the same thing? Time frame, that's why I was wondering when we need to put it on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you give us a date and say, do it.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Board members, is there a motion to accept the contract for the new Southwest Elementary School?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Mr. Walter, Mr. Harrison seconds that motion. Is there any other discussion on this particular contract? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And that motion carries 6-0. Board members, that carries us to the approval of the nomination of Ms. Fertenbaugh to the NCSBA Board of Directors. Normally, each summer, usually it's a little earlier than what they sent it to us this year, but the North Carolina School Board Association usually has openings on their Board of Directors, and they submit a letter to the chair of each board to solicit interest on the Board of Directors. This year, their letter was pinned on August 10th. We didn't receive it until August the 22nd, and I didn't receive it in my mail until August the 29th. So it was a little bit delayed, but before this even started, Ms. Fertenbaugh had requested a real interest in serving on this Board of Directors, and so this nomination would allow her to at least put her name into competition with others around the state who are also wanting to serve, as a board of director on the NCSBA. I think it'd be a real honor for our district to get this. And Ms. Fertenbaugh, if you'd like to say a few words, I'll open this up to you just in case you have some other things that you'd like to add, because I know you have a lot of experience with the NCSBA.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll say applying for this, and I did one other time earlier in my board service, has been something that I've been very interested in over the years, but there's a convergence of factors that have to come into play. So first of all, District 6 has to have an opening, and so NCSBA has carefully said they expect there will be an opening. Charlotte-Mecklenburg is in our district, and so typically the District 6 rep comes from Charlotte-Mecklenburg. It's really hard for the other districts to get in. But they have potentially a change in membership on their board after the election. So we probably won't even know until after the election, between election and annual meeting, if there's going to be an opening. But they want to know by the 2nd, by October 2nd, if you're interested. And I have to submit a bit of a board resume to go with it. So they also want someone who has at least 2 years left on their term. So you have to line up the opening with 2 years left on your term. So it really becomes a convergence of timing. So I was, as Mr. Shoemaker said, I was involved with NCSBA. In fact, Holly Grimsley is here. She and I taught a class at one of the annual conventions a couple years back, more than a couple maybe. And I've taught other classes as well as there, and have been involved at the state level outside of NCSBA. So I think it's a good combination of my experience that I can contribute. I hope NCSBA will see the same, and then the whole assembly of all the board members would get to vote on whatever their slate nomination is. So there's quite a few more steps to go forward, but the first is asking you for your support. Thank you.
All right, board members, is there anyone who'd wish to offer the motion?
I
Ms.
will
Fertenbaugh?
offer the motion.
Second?
And Mr. Walter will second that. All right, board members, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving Ms. Fertenbaugh's application to the NCSBA Board of Directors, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
I probably have to recuse myself, right, just so I'm not recorded?
Okay.
Is that right? I can vote for myself?
All right, so that's a 6-0 vote, Ms. Monroe. Did they give you a chance to vote?
I just want to make sure it didn't need to be recorded as a recusal.
Yeah. All right.
If you think you're the best candidate.
Our board members, that now takes us to the convening into closed session. And I'll need a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged and pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6 to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of employment, or in conditions of initial employment of a individual public officer or employee, prospective public officer or employee, to hear, investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee, to review the personnel recommendations, and to discuss Morrison versus the Board / Heinz and Catherine Harris versus the Board / North Carolina. Do I have a motion?
That's just Catherine Harris versus the state of North Carolina.
Oh, is that the state of North Carolina? Okay.
I'll
Catherine
make the
Harris
motion.
versus the state of North Carolina, and Mr. Walter makes the
Make
motion.
the motion as you just stated it.
All right. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Harrison makes the second. All in favor of convening in closed session, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. And we are now in closed session. Thank you.